to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to another episode of A Well-Designed Business. It's Power Talk Friday, and I am so happy to have my good friend Katie Krimitsos with me today. Hi, Katie. How are you?
Hey, LuAnn. So happy to be here.
You know what's so funny, Katie, is I mean, we met each other one time in real life. We've had maybe 5 total conversations, but you're like my person. Do you know that?
I feel the exact same way about you. I think it's so cool. Like, you know, just a simple online conversation starts this like, oh my God, this girl gets it.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
That's how I feel, right? And so I just want to say to you out there listening, if you don't know who Katie Krimitsos is, you're in for a treat today. Katie was actually on the show back on episode 253. And then at that time, Katie was the fearless leader of the Biz Women Rock community. And I actually was a avid listener of this podcast of Katie's. And that was when I was just total fangirl, had never met her. And honestly, the podcast is still there. Tons of valuable information for you as a business owner there. And, when, I don't know, one thing connected to another, and she said she would be on my podcast, I about fell over. And so, and I was just like, okay, I'm going to interview Katie. But the thing is that Katie and I have stayed friends, and Katie is on to a new endeavor in her life. And just to give you a little background on Katie, she is a mom, she is a wife, she's an adventurer, she is a podcaster. Katie is a seeker and a change maker too. And here's the thing that I have learned firsthand, that she is actually committed to brightening the light of women around the world through this new endeavor of hers, Women's Meditation Network. And I'm going to tell you, she did that through Biz Women Rock community as well. Okay, but right now, she is really tapping into what is so special and authentic about her, and she's providing guided meditations and resources that are specifically created to the special journey that we as women have. So she's just one of the most passionate people you will ever meet about helping you be your best you. This is the way I think of Katie. She's just always happy, laughing. She's truly a joyful person, and she just is interested in whatever it is that she can do for you to help you be better and to help you feel better. That's, you just call her and she'll figure it out with you. So Katie, I'm so excited to learn about this new business because it does seem so you. And the thing is, I know, look, we're gonna record this. The coronavirus is happening and it's changing every single day, where it is, how it is, to what level it is. And by the time this podcast episodes, the world will look different again. So we're not going to leave it out of the conversation, because I know that some of your work is something that really could be helpful to us as wives, as mothers, as sisters, and as children of our own parents, and help us, kind of feel a little bit more centered in this anxious type of environment. But this is also bigger than that. It's, just being a human being in general isn't always all it's cracked up to be, right?
Oh my gosh. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So Katie, tell us a little bit about what's happening now with the Women's Meditation Network and your new mission and your new, like this driving goal that you have to just help all of us.
Yeah. Well, the Women's Meditation Network was born out of a really dark moment, actually. It was, early 2018. The Biz Women Rock community was just cranking. It was going really, really well. I was planning ahead for like tripling business that year, was really excited about it, was finally like feeling really in flow with everything. And in April of that year, we found out we were pregnant with our second baby. And it just changed everything for me. It really, it threw me into kind of a depression because I was like, oh my gosh, like all of this stuff that I had planned, my baby was born in early December of 2018. So it was like, I was really looking out on this year of all of these business things that I had going for me and knowing I don't think I want that anymore, or that doesn't feel good anymore, or I don't think I can do that anymore.
Right? How can I even do it? Right?
Yeah, and believe me, I am like, I will make it happen no matter what. I will be the woman who figures it out and does it all. And so I just I kind of went into a very quiet space for probably about a month and a half, 2 months, of just trying to figure it out. Like, what do I actually want? And for anyone who has an online business or, has a business and you're visible online a lot, that's very terrifying to actually put a pause on a lot of that stuff. So, but I really committed to just kind of doing the bare minimum I needed to keep my business going, and then allowing myself the space to like really figure it out. Like, what do I really want now? And out of that time, which was very emotional and up and down. And of course, I'm in the first trimester.
Not to mention the hormones on top of all.
Well, and so I knew enough not to make any big life decisions in, when I was not like out of emotion, basically. Like I really wanted to make life decision based on like when I knew like, okay, everything is sort of settled. And I now know like that inner voice, I could hear her saying, do this, this is it. And, so I got the idea. I had the idea of a meditation podcast just for women months prior, but I didn't do anything with it because it wasn't really in line with my business model at the time. And so all of a sudden, during this quiet time, my husband and I are going on walks and he just says, what about that meditation idea? And that question started and gave birth to what this thing could possibly be. And as you mentioned, LuAnn, I've just always been somebody, I don't know why, I just have always been someone who really believes in lifting up other women. I believe mainly what that's always looked like for me is me being a mirror for other women so that they could see how beautiful and lit up they really are, without anyone else needing to give them any of that. Like we all have such a beautiful, amazing glow. And what ends up happening is either self-doubt or other people or comparison. I mean, there's a gazillion reasons why our lights get dimmed and we start doubting ourselves and we don't feel good about ourselves and we think that we can't. And there's just so many of those. And I have experienced and still experience many of those. And so I've just always been really passionate about, let me help you be the best version of you that you could possibly be. And I absolutely did that through the Biz Women Rock community for women entrepreneurs. But now I was like, oh my gosh, I could still help women. And I can actually do this in a completely different way, in a way that actually, goes right into the subconscious, goes right to the soul of a woman through listening to my voice on a guided meditation. And not only that, but I understood also as a business owner that the business model that I could create here would be one that would be a lot more conducive to having two littles around. Biz Women Rock, the business model there was of, I was a strategic coach. I had masterminds. I was doing live events. I was doing online coaching. So I needed to be there live in order for my business to earn revenue and to be a business model. And while I could make that work with two little ones, I didn't want to. I was just like, I need something that's a little bit more, evergreen, product based. I could create something on my own time. I didn't have to show up for, that meeting at that time because what if?
Right.
And so yeah. I knew that because of those two reasons that launching the Women's Meditation Network business was really necessary. So I launched that about a year and a half ago. It was back in July of 2018. And, almost that year and a half, I really balanced both of those businesses and both of the babies. And then eventually, step by step, really recognized, okay, it's time to put Biz Women Rock to rest. And it's time for me not to do that anymore. And so I could put my full attention on momming and the Women's Meditation Network. So, for me, the reason I get so lit up about it is because it would be very easy to look at what I'm doing and saying, oh, well, she's just, she's a meditation teacher. She teaches people meditation. I actually am not a meditation teacher. I have no desire to really be known as a meditation teacher. I am being very deliberate in giving women the tool of meditation to help them with so many layers of learning who they are so that they could be their best selves. So, in relation to what is going on in the world right now, using guided meditation to help you deal with all the anxiety and the fear and all the unknowns and uncertainties that are coming up for us right now. But beyond that, what should I be doing right now? That's a giant question. What life has significantly changed for many, many of us. And so the question of what's the right thing for me right now? What do I do? Those answers really come from within. And so I really believe that using the tool of meditation gives us a practice to hear that voice louder and louder and louder.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, anybody that's listened to my show knows that I am all about the goddess voice. I am all about it. And I said it recently on a show, and I can't recall which episode it was off the top of my head, but, I have always lived by, okay, I need all the facts. Let's do all that. Let's take all the analyzation that we need and blah, 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 whether it's a business decision or personal decision, whatever it is. And then, but ultimately it's, okay, LuAnn, and what does your goddess say? And if she says no, it's no. It doesn't matter what all the logical things are. And in the same token, if she says yes, even if everything looks illogical, we're going. I mean, LuAnn Live was launched exactly like that. LuAnn Live came out March 2019. It was scheduled from my original business plan for 2020. And there was a conversation I always talk about. One thing happens, then another thing happens, and another thing happens, and all of a sudden I go, oh, okay, she's talking to you, LuAnn. She keeps tapping you on the shoulder here. You know what I mean? Yep. And the conversations might not even be connected, and typically they are not connected by people or place or topic matter, right? Yeah. But it's one thing, and I found myself in November of 2018, and I just went, oh, I got to do it this year. And then I was like, well, do I have to do it this year? And so then I spent, November and December just, okay, I'm reaching out to Nicole Heimer. I'm reaching out to my daughter, Christy, all the people on my team, the Vin man. And, they're all sort of looking at me like, well, I mean, I guess we could, but you want to launch it when? I'm like, yeah, March. And they're like, what? And then one day I went over to the Short Hills Hilton. I walked through the lobby, met with the lady, and I just said, here's your check. And she was like, what? You know what I mean? Yeah. And I came out and I did a video, and I'm like, it's game on. Because I knew it was when you learn to cultivate and hear that voice, it's for me, it's like a vibration. I feel it. I feel it. And there are times when it's do or don't or this or that. But to your point, you are teaching people how to tap in and pay attention, right?
Yes. Yep. That's exactly it. Yes. That's exactly it. And, in our normally very fast-paced lives, we don't often take the time to do that. Or it just is not a priority, or people are very intimidated by meditation because they don't feel like they're doing it perfectly, which you don't have to do it perfectly.
That's walking perfectly. There's no way to
exactly.
Is there a perfect way to meditate? I don't think so.
No. But you would be amazed at how many listeners of my show are new to meditation and have told me, oh, I've really timid. I've tried off and on, but I just can't do it right. So I always give up. Yeah. The thoughts come after 30 seconds. It's because it's your brain's job to think. So it's not about stopping the thoughts. That is a massive myth about meditation. You're not supposed to have a completely blank brain for the entire time. It's about managing those thoughts. I mean, there's so much to go on there, but that is really my big why behind all this. And it's so relevant to everything. It's relevant to what's going on in your business right now. It's relevant to what has happened in your business in the past. It's relevant to what can happen to your business in the future. It's relevant to where your life is now, what you feel like now, like everything. Because as you continue to allow yourself to, as you beautifully said, cultivate the listening for that inner voice, you're gonna be very familiar with her. You might give her a name like the LuAnn goddess. Like you're going to be familiar.
Well, you call her
with
your
voice.
Own goddess name, right? Yeah. Like yours is Katie Goddess.
Yeah, but and I would be surprised if anyone listening to this has never experienced this. But like when you sort of get this thought in your head and it's like, yep, I got to do with that.
That's it. There's a difference, and I have to say, I know that if you are unfamiliar with meditation or have tried it and are uncomfortable, it is a worthy thing to continue to try and work at and practice. And to me, it's like yoga, right? When you do yoga the first day, if you've ever tried yoga, it doesn't look anything like when you go into that yoga class 6 weeks later. If you've gone even twice a week, you are a completely different person. But here's the really cool thing about yoga, and I believe with meditation, if you do it for 2 years, 10 years, 20 years, it's completely different. You don't ever get to the point where you're like, I got this yoga thing down, right? It's like, it's always this growth and this exploration. And it's always like, oh, wait, just move the hip that tiny little bit and that happened. And for me, for meditation I grew up being taught to meditate. We were 10 years old. My aunt and my mom had the 6 of us kids lying on my aunt's living room floor, and leading us in guided meditation. I mean, legit. You know what I'm saying? And then it was like, it was just something that we did. And so for me now, it's as if I studied yoga for 40 years, right? Yep. It's like now I can walk and meditate. Like my goddess, she'll just like, hey, lady. Let's, and it doesn't mean that I don't also stop the engine and rest the mind and do actual intentional meditation, but she's right there. She is like, my wingman. This is how we function, and that's to me, I'm not saying it to show off. I'm saying that's the gift of the practice. That's the reward,
like anything you practice.
Right?
Anything you practice. I have a 4.5-year-old, so there's a lot of meltdowns of I can't do it, and the constant thing. You have to practice, babe. Yeah. You can't get good at anything unless you practice, and you got to start somewhere. So, and. What the practice, and that's why I love that word, the practice. You're never a master of meditation.
No, you're not.
There's no such thing. No. You are practicing always, no matter how many years you've been doing it. And the practice of meditation, what it really does is it just gives you an opportunity to start. This is the best way I can describe it. Start distinguishing between the noise, and there's a lot of things I could categorize in there. The noise and the voice.
Yep.
What's the noise? What's the voice? If we want to get, see how this looks like in reality, my husband and I got in a fight last week, and, I know because I'm, have been doing this work for so long. I know I'm yelling at him, saying things, and I know it's ego. I know it's I know it's like, you're not doing this, and this, and this. Like, I know it. I know that it's a total like childlike, right. Stupid disruption. And the beautiful thing is that, we're angry. He leaves the house. We're just still fuming. And within 10 minutes, I already know what the answer is. I already know, like, okay, Katie, that's the noise. All of this stuff I've, drummed up and given, all these things that I've said that we're arguing about, and that I'm right and he's wrong. Like, I already know. That's that's all noise. Right. That's all ego. What's the voice? I love the hell out of this man, and I know that he loves me, and I know that we're committed to each other. And here's really what is. Here's what is going on.
Right.
And when you can hear that voice, there's no such thing called a silent treatment. There's no such thing called revenge or nastiness. Like, you can't help but take action out of love and compassion and kindness. You can't help it. Like, like I'm not counting how many I'm sorry's I've ever said, even though if I feel he was really in the wrong that time, like it doesn't matter because it's love. It's that voice. Like there's nothing but pure love there, So this is relevant. This small little example is relevant with literally everything happening in the world right now. Because if you can use the practice of meditation to sit and be still and to start practicing distinguishing the noise. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? There's no more money coming in. Business is dried up. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I have my kids home with me full time. How am I supposed to do X, Y, Z? Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I know somebody now, coronavirus. It's in my family. Like all of the things. It's all noise. It's not bad. I'm not labeling it as bad. It's just noise. But if through the practice of meditation, you can start to distinguish, okay, that's noise. Let me put that over here. And let me listen to the voice. Let me listen to the goddess. What is she saying? What do I now need? What is the right thing for me? What is the right thing for my family? And this is where the voice starts talking. And this is where when you start seeing people doing some really incredible things in business right now that you're looking at, wow, like that was a really smart, very love-driven and profitable move. That's where that comes from.
Right.
So if you're wondering, like, what do I do with my business right now? I have seen so many businesses do some really beautiful, kind, loving, and smart things that are either being profitable for them now or are going to have long-term relationship effects that will be immensely profitable for them later on. So it's like that's the space that we need to be in to deal with all of this stuff going on right now.
Exactly. And the thing is, it's so interesting because so much, if I were to like literally hit stop and replay everything you said, we can have that exact. We can literally change the adjectives and the words that you use to business words. Be authentic, reach out to your client, do something caring for them, but not something pretend that you're thinking is a good idea because it'll look good. It's like, no, if you really genuinely in the middle of this or in any era in your business feel like this is a really good thing to do for my client that will make them feel good, it's that same thing. It's noise is all the extra, and it's all the things that you do that you put a block up as opposed to really figuring out, why did you say something? Why did somebody say something to you? Why do you feel like you want to do something? Why do you think this is the right thing to do? It's if you peel away that extra, then you can get to, oh, yeah, no, I was just doing that because I thought it was going to be self-serving. That's not good. Okay, no. Right. Oh, that actually, I really want to do that for that person. Yeah. So just do it, right? I mean, we had an episode recently with Sarah Brennan, and she was talking about how Candy Scott on the show, she was so struck by the episode with Candy Scott because Candy said a lot of times when there's drama in your project, right? These, Katie, these interior designers are dealing with, hundreds of thousands of dollars and tens of thousands of details that they have to come across on, and deliver in a project. And, when one thing goes wrong, it can have this crazy domino effect among the trades and who did something wrong. And now that's going to back that trade up. And, the conversation was centered around how sometimes the drama is created because somebody is feeling fear. Maybe one trade is afraid that they're going to get blamed, or the client is afraid that they're going to have to pay twice. And to your point, that's what I'm saying. That's you're saying, take the noise out of it. Did the trade make a mistake? If he did, go to him, get him to own it, have a conversation, tell him you're on the same team. We can do this together. Let's do the right thing. But if we just keep functioning in the noise, which is the he said, she said, I said, you said, then we never get to what is going to be the right truth for all of us, your client included, right?
So beautifully put. And I'm really glad that you brought up fear, because I think especially right now, that is such an underlying and very powerful and energy-inducing emotion in just about every part of our lives. And most especially if we're talking about business, this is where doing the work to understand where your decision making is coming from is very important, because look, let's be honest. We've all got payroll to keep. We've all got, we got to keep food on the table. We got to keep, money flowing and coming through our businesses. That's the nature of business. And if you can stop and sit with the fear that you have about like, oh my God, the economy stopped, my business has stopped. Like if you can stop with that, the fear of what is, and even the most importantly, the fear of what could be, if you can sit it aside for just a second and instead think about like, what can I do? How can I help? I mean, it's amazing. I promise you, you've probably already seen dozens and dozens of examples of businesses doing work from here. Just as a random example, I saw a hairstylist that I know here in our local area, and I just saw one of her clients post this, who I also know, and she said, "Oh my gosh, thank you to hairstylists over here who I would normally go to, and before I even had the thought of, oh darn, I'm not going to be able to see her anymore, she had hand delivered me, obviously dropped it off, hand delivered me with all of my colors and everything that I need, my own personal, touch-up kit."
Whoa.
Because I'm not going to be able. So just imagine, now this is the big thing.
Whoa.
That it's so smart, and I have seen
it's brilliant.
I've seen so many examples of this, and this is really, really smart business, and also very heart-driven. Those things are so combined right now. So it's like, if you can get into the space of letting go of fear and the immediate, oh my God, the world's falling down on me, and instead get into like, what do my clients really need right now? And how can I help them? How am I uniquely qualified to help them right now in a way that is in line with the lives that they're now leading? And you do something like this, that definitely cost her some money up front, right?
Sure.
Like she definitely had to pay out of pocket for that. But I tell you what, that customer will never leave.
That's right.
Ever.
That's right.
Ever. And this is one small example of how what you choose to do now and how you choose to show up now may not pay right now. But I promise you, you do the right thing and you lead with love, that will pay 1,000-fold in the future.
I just love that example because what's so interesting is there is a space where someone might have an idea and think, is that like me being too marketing? Is that me being too forward? Is that me being not sensitive to maybe somebody in their family is dealing with the virus on a real physical health level, right? Like you can let all of that noise into that conversation. But the reality is, to what we said a few moments ago, if you're just really like, I know that my clients, this would be amazing to get, and you do it. Like when you said that, I was like, oh my God, that is one of the craziest, right? And it is one of the craziest things that we're all dealing with right now. Like the half inch of gray hair that is coming through, and forget our younger
realities of what's going on right now,
right. And forget, even younger women who their hair isn't gray, but maybe they dye it a different color, and we all didn't know that it wasn't, you weren't a blonde or you weren't a brunette or whatever it is. Like it's such a silly thing, but I'm thinking to myself, all day long, if my hairstylist ever dropped that off, I would be like, whoa,
Yeah, you're not only are you never leaving that hairstylist, but you will refer
Tell
that
everybody.
person out. Hello. So my point being there is that you can't get creative with how to pivot in your business right now from the space of noise.
Right.
So I love giving the tool of meditation to be able to get to that place of voice. So that you can hear, because that's where, I have felt really strange in these times telling people, and so I'm very selective on who I can share this with, but, like telling people I am so ridiculously excited about business right now, because I'm not supposed to be. I'm supposed to be like the sky's falling. But you know what, LuAnn? I'm really excited about business. And this is going to cap off the point that we've been making. I'm excited about business right now because I have an opportunity to help so many people. The people who are finally saying, oh, I've been hearing about meditation for years. I need to go. I'm like having immense anxiety. I need to go do it. And then they find me, or a friend tells them about it, so they come across me. I get to help those people.
Right.
I get to help even more people who have maybe floated away from meditation and now are coming back full force. I get to help even more people who currently listen to my meditation every single day, and they'll listen multiple times a day now.
Right.
Like my point being is that, to your point about, is it icky marketing? Like I am putting more time and money in marketing my business right now so that I can put this amazing tool to help people out there into the world. And as long as I continue to lead with that,
right,
I believe this whole beautiful, prosperous, holistic cycle exists. I can do really good for them. And so I'll give you an example. In my business, I definitely heard my inner goddess, my voice, just kind of a couple of weeks right before things were really getting hot and heavy. I heard her say, it's time to step up. Like it's time to step up. You got work to do right now. And I have 2 little ones. And so I have generally worked about 20 hours a week. That has changed right now.
You're right.
Like I'm definitely working more. I'm being more visible. I'm getting the word out. I'm doing marketing. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm creating like different products that people can get. Like I'm doing an immense amount of work to put this good work out into the world. Because of that, as it relates to podcast download numbers, my download numbers have just about tripled since the beginning of the year.
Wow.
And I'm so grateful for that. So what do you think I'm thinking? I already have advertisers on the show. My mind is immediately going to, okay, I've got spots open for advertisers because I have more downloads to be able to offer people, right? So I'm immediately, this is where strategy and really good love fit, really combine. What products and services would best fulfill the needs of my listeners right now? What do they really actually need? Not just, frivolous spending, but it's like, what do they actually really need right now? What kinds of products or services would really help them during this time? And so that's where I get going, seeking out and attracting different advertisers. And it becomes this giant win-win for everyone. So I'm explaining all of that because that is how I approach business. Like that, how can I put more of the good stuff I'm already creating into this world? I know it helps people. And I happen to be in an industry with meditation that how I have done things is exactly what people need, which is great. If you're in an industry with that, how you have done things is not how they can be done right now, what do your clients still need and how can you offer it differently?
Well, and to that point, so many people are in their homes all day long now. And, as an industry, we have to understand that I say this about my designers all the time, Katie. So often I learned that how easy it is for a designer to take for granted the talent that is in them, because the rest of us don't necessarily know how to make a beautiful space or a beautiful room. And right now, more than ever, that's important. If you are going to spend 24/7 for weeks or months in your home, now I know this to be true. There are tens of thousands of people that will never look at their living room and think they should do something with it. I know that's just so true. But there are others, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that feel a connection to their home, and their home inspires them, or their home elicits in them emotion, and that emotion could be good or bad. And so this becomes where the designer's gift, just like your own gift, is valuable and is needed. Now, there has to be new ways of doing business.
It a different way.
Right. There has to be new ways of doing business. And that's where you have to really, tap in and figure out, like, what is your little package of hair dye that you can leave for your clients, right? Because there are homeowners now that are saying, if I knew that I was going to have to be in this house for the next 2 months, I would have gotten new bedding, or I would have, replaced that carpet, that area rug, like anything to just make them feel happy in the space. And a designer has that gift.
Oh my God.
Right?
And it is a gift. I can't even tell you how many times I've moved around my girls' bedroom. They're both in the same bedroom together, because I'm like, oh, we need more play space, or we need more. They need they need their office,
right?
And mommy, daddy need our space. And what are we going to do with the family? Like, I am constantly looking at that as a mom of little kids running around. So what would be incredibly valuable for me? Now I understand that, of course,
right?
all design. Well, how amazing would it be if I could find, hey, here are 10 different ways that you could redesign your kid's bedroom for more space and, more space for them, more space for you. And it doesn't, take you, 8 years to clean up. Like that would be incredibly valuable for me to go find that information. Like, great ways to,
organize your
make your small house feel
books.
big.
But how about how about if you came across a designer that was happy to do a FaceTime tour with you? And their superpower in 1 hour virtual consultation said to you, move the bed this, the dresser that, this and that, and you'd be like, whoa, I didn't know that. It's like, and that's the thing.
Let me draw up a schematic for you. Let me draw up a diagram for you. I'll draw it over to you and I'll send it over to you. You can just follow these instructions here. I would recommend this bed, I can go ahead and get all that for you. Right. It's like a kit, like here, I'll get the kid's bedroom kit. I'll take care of it for you.
Yeah. Because, this is really the heart of your message is that, I wanted to show how that you always are doing business in what really is right for you you as a person, your family, your children, your husband, and agrees with your goddess voice. And when that was Biz Women Rock community all day long, now it's Women's Meditation Network. And the idea is that not only the power of learning how to quiet your mind and listen to your inner voice, but also having that courage to make a change in your business if it is really what you should be doing. When I think about, I remember you and I hadn't talked in a couple of months. I guess I did speak to you right after you found out that you were pregnant. And I remember that conversation. And then several months later, I'm just driving along in my life, listening to Biz Women Rock, and there's Katie going, this is my last episode. And I'm like, this is your what? Whoa. And of course, as a listener, I was like, no. But as a friend, I was like, okay, what's happening for her? Where is this heading for her? I know that Katie is always true to herself and really does think, and she's strategic. But what I hear in that, what I knew in that moment was that your voice had to be so clear to walk away from something that was so vibrant and so big and so followed and had such a big community. Like, how loud did that voice have to be? My goodness. Right? And please don't let me pretend that, I heard her, in July and by December we were done. No.
Like
it's not easy.
This is constant. No, it was a year and a half probably of constant practice of, what do I now need? What is the right thing for me? And sometimes knowing what that was and not wanting to do it. So I'm going to sit here and I'm going to still run this business.
We can ignore her. I mean, we pay dearly when we do, of course. And then we finally go, all right. You know what I mean? But, what's funny is those that work with me very closely know that if they put a decision to me and it'll be 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, whatever it is. And they're like, okay, still waiting on the decision on this. And I don't ever say the words, I haven't heard my voice yet on this. It's just, I'm like, okay, I'm busy today. I'm this, I'm that. You know what I mean? And we're running at the speed of light and blah, 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 blah. And the reality is that every single time that I've hesitated on a decision to a one, it's either like the hindsight moment comes exactly when I've allowed the voice to be the loudest thing in my head and all the noise falls away. And it's like, that's why you weren't giving anybody who's been hammering at you by email, phone, and Voxer for the last week and a half an answer on this because you didn't have it yet. You thought you did, and you thought you were just too busy to communicate it. You didn't want to type it. You didn't want to do this. But it wasn't there yet. It wasn't ready. And so for something as big as closing down the platform that Biz Women Rocks there's no way that's like walk in a park and boom, voice, and it could be that way, by the way, it could be that way, but the point is that it isn't always, and it's not a science in the sense that what's right for you is right for you and the way it works for you. But the idea is I want people to learn to do it because I know how valuable it's been in my life. And I think of all the people that I think that I could direct them to learn this from is you. That's my point. Yeah. So I don't know. It's just, it is something that you do have to practice, and it is something that you can get better at. You have to have an open mind. And the funny thing about it is, I had one time somebody said to me, "That's so woo-woo." You know what I mean? And I just looked at them, and most of the time I let people just go along their merry way. And I'm like, I'm not your mama. I don't have to teach you right from wrong. You know what I'm saying? But, every once in a while, somebody really is back at you, right? And really right. And so I said, let me understand something. So we're actually talking about the clearest part of your mind. Do you actually believe that the clearest part of your mind is at odds with what's the best thing for you? Is that even physically possible? For the clearest part of yourself, the truest soul of yourself. Do you actually believe that is possible, to not have your best interest, to not be the thing that is the guiding North Star for you as an individual?
Right.
Because if you say yes to that, what is that? I don't get that. I just don't get it. You know what I mean? Because we're really just tapping in to what we are, who we are at our core, right?
Yes. And we typically have not been taught, this is not true for everyone. It certainly wasn't true for you, but we typically haven't been taught how answers inside. We typically are taught how to follow answers that we're given. We're typically taught how to follow along a life that is designed for us, a script that is given to us. You, in my example, you're a woman, this is a very general example. This is not what I got from my parents, but and so go get go graduate from high school, go get your degree, go find a husband, get married, have babies, get a high paying job, buy a house, blah, blah, blah. And if you divert from it, in order to divert from that, it takes an immense amount of self-introspection and courage to start saying, what is right for me? And I'm actually going to design my own life based on those answers. Every single person who has ever started and built their own business understands exactly what I'm talking about, because we are not the norm. Right, we are not.
This is true.
Every single one of us has some story of, I'm sure a family member being like, "What are you doing, starting your own business in this economy, or why can't you go get a good paying job?" My husband's dad still doesn't really think that, after I think 20 years of him being an entrepreneur, still doesn't get it. Okay, cool. But what job are you getting?
It's
so
Dad.
it's that.
Yes.
There is a script that you will be given for your life, that you have been given for your life. It's up to you to decide what is right for you right now, and have the courage to start taking, at first small, and the louder that voice gets and the more practice you have taking action on what he or she tells you, the more trust you have that that's actually the voice that is guiding you and will continue to lovingly guide you to design the life that is best for you.
And that is the journey. It is like when I made the analogy from yoga. It is the journey of cultivating the voice so that you know the difference, and you know that when it's the voice and when it's the noise. Because sometimes, you can apply what you think should be what is right to the voice. But, sometimes it's like what I always say, you have to be willing to make the hard decision. You have to be willing to have the hard conversation, and you have to be willing to make the hard decision. Because if you fool yourself, if you just say, yeah, that sounds like a great idea, my voice, my goddess agrees, off to the races. It's sort of, but really? Are you sure? And that does take practice. That is that. And that's why I like the, and I don't play golf or tennis, but I imagine it's the same journey of, I've tried golf one time. And I was totally enthralled with it. Vinny hates golf and he will not play. So therefore, I probably won't play much golf because that would be 3 more hours a day that I'm apart from him and he'd probably shoot me.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly.
Such a long time commitment.
Exactly. Yoga's a little easier, right? But the thing is, the one time I played, I was very enthralled with it because it reminded me very much like meditation and yoga in the sense that this is all right here. Like everything I need to get better at this is right here in between my ears and is right within my capability of a human being. It's just, what will I put into it? Will I practice this swing? And the thing is, you can't just swing. You got to swing with intention. You've got to, where are your hips when you're swinging? Where is your wrist? Does it turn over? All those little things. And that is the same thing when you were saying that unfortunately people think that they don't know how to meditate because when I meditate, my mind wanders or my brain turns on. It's like, well, okay, that's okay. But which way and what direction and how do we just settle it back down and get it back focused, right? We don't swing a golf club one time and go, I didn't get my hips in the right spot. I guess I can't play golf. Right? It's like we don't meditate once, twice, 20, 30 times and go, I can't quiet my mind. I guess I can't do it. So it is, just because it is a quiet activity and seems easy, there is some practice to it, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it. So Katie, you on your podcast, you have guided meditation. So this is not a podcast where you have these conversations, telling people about the benefit. It's just that you have beginner meditations, you have sleep meditations, anxiety and stress meditations, confidence meditations. And so this is the thing where you just put yourself in a nice space and then listen to you just walk us through, much the way my aunt and my mother did with us kids, right?
Exactly. That's it. These are just guided meditations from start to finish. So you literally press play and just sit back and let me guide you. That's it. I make it easy peasy.
And time commitment. Do you have varying in lengths of meditations? Can you choose, okay, I need a little 10-minute booster. I want a 45 minutes long one like that. I would assume that's the case, right?
Yeah. So I have they're generally anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes at the most.
Okay.
I do have a sleep bundle that's available on my website, and the bundle includes 3 meditations, but each meditation is about 45 minutes, obviously, because I want you to go to sleep. It's really meant for people who are having problems getting to sleep. But other than that, I mean, there's a new guided meditation that gets released on the podcast every single week, and everyone is a relatively short time commitment. And in this life that we're in right now, like another myth, you don't have to be sitting peacefully in a lotus position with incense burning at 5 a.m. every morning in order for this to work. Like if you have your kids at home or life is kind of busy right now, like just press play with me while you do dishes.
Right.
Go on a walk and press play. Like you can still get some benefits. It's still really powerful to do.
Yeah, I love it. And the thing is, there is science that goes along with it. I mean, I don't know that we're going to go into that or anything, but there is science, like the whole brain waves and the relaxation and the neurons firing and all of that stuff. So there is actual physiological benefits to
Huge.
it. Yes.
Huge.
Yes. Yes. And so that, that part should not be left unsaid as well. And, it's just like anything else too. I mean, what's funny is sometimes people say, oh, I can't meditate, but then you'll have a conversation, but like, I get great ideas in the car. I'm like, well, that's kind of a meditation, just saying, or great ideas in the shower. That's sort of a meditation. So it can have different forms, to your point. Your kids could be, playing on the deck and you're just sitting there watching them, and it could be on. And there is that little subtle in the background that is really creating those physiological changes in your chemical makeup, but it's also, getting into that subconscious and helping you understand. And then maybe you'll retrieve it later when you are on a walk somewhere, and then all of a sudden something will click, and then all of a sudden you start to have those synchronicities. This idea made that idea, and boom, I've got my dye, dropping my packet of dye off idea to my clients, right?
And then it's off to the races.
Yes.
And that's the most beautiful thing about it, is sort of like when you start really doing this practice and you hear that voice, like when you start taking action on that voice, man, like, whew, things line up.
Yes. It's so fun. It's so exciting. And, So from a practical standpoint, the sleep meditation, what are we supposed to, what are you suggesting, that they just put earbuds in with their iPhone and they fall asleep to it? How does that, I mean, if you have a partner who's not exactly interested in maybe doing it.
Yeah. So a couple of ways. That's probably the most popular, but like I have used meditations to go to sleep for many, many, many years. And I probably do a sleep meditation like 2 to 3 times a week. That's also another myth that people are like, I can meditate when I sleep. Yes, you can. Like just the physiological relaxing of the body actually helps so much. So yeah, you can either just have your phone next to you and just press play, or if you have a partner who absolutely doesn't want to hear that, put some earbuds in and, just let it play next to you. So however it is that is comfortable for you.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Yeah, we have all of our, our 3-to-1 method, our 10-to-1 method, down to our laboratory. These are all the mechanisms and the different meditations that we were taught as kids. My cousin Eileen has been on the show a couple of times. She was in my second book. She's going to be in the third book as well. And, it's her mother and my mother, they're sisters. And, it's just like, it's just part of us. It's like growing up playing baseball. It's just what we did. And it really has benefited us, all of us kids, in so many different ways. And that's why I was so happy to have this opportunity to, share you with my audience again, because always this is important for us to tap in and to understand what's really, really best for us at this moment, and how we can best serve the people in our life that are closest to us, and then the people in our life that are our outer circle as well. Because that's how we end up being our best selves, is when we give of our best selves, then everything just lines up, right?
Yeah, it all flows.
Yeah, it
all
does.
flows.
That's a great way to say it. It all flows. So this time, even more, it is important that if you are feeling anxious or you have some fears surrounding what's going on, this is a way to sort of have a place for yourself to address them, but to not let them get out of control, right? Not let the noise get too big. But it is important to go inside and think about these things and really get to a place where you can say, okay, what is a real fear that I need to deal with, and what is like a little crazy pants that I'm actually blowing out of proportion, right?
Yep.
We can't, right? Like, It's the truth. It's like, and sometimes it takes a minute. And it's so funny when you were describing having that argument with your husband, we've all been there, where you're sitting there. And what's so crazy is, Vin and I had a thing a couple of weeks ago as well, and we were back and forth. And of course, we're much older. And I have to say, I don't know, maybe it's just us, but when we were younger, we would fight to the bone. They're like, I'm right. You're not right. Yeah. And now it's like literally in 2 sentences, I'll be like, whatever. You know what I mean? This just doesn't matter. I go right to, I love you. You love me. They were disagreeing about, whether to watch, Tiger King or Luther. Like, this is ridiculous, right? But the thing is, when I, really just go, what are you doing right here? Like, I literally say, why did you take that one sentence further? You know what I mean? And a lot of times when you do ask yourself that question in the middle of the argument, if you have practice listening without the noise, I'll get right to the answer. I'll be like, oh, that's actually because you did 40 interviews today and you're exhausted. Like, it has nothing to do with this, and then I'll just be like, okay, Uncle, sorry. I'm testy. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm exhausted, or it'll be because, he really pissed me off 3 days ago when we never resolved that. And so now I'm making an argument about this, right? Yep. But it's very good to have that mechanism of what's happening here. Hello, LuAnn, come on back to world here. Stop this. We don't fight about this kind of stuff, right? Yes. And it's the same with business. It's to peel away the things that we don't have to worry about, so that we really can thoughtfully and intentionally tackle the things that we should be paying attention to, and to let all the other fall away, because it's very critical right now. This is an unprecedented time. There are unfortunately going to be businesses that go out of business. And so even that in there, Katie, right? Maybe it's okay if your business is one because there's something else for you, but you have to be open to hearing what that is as opposed to all the noise and the fear about I've lost my business. But then also maybe you're meant to hang on. Maybe you're meant to come through, but don't allow the noise to distract you from your mission and coming through it. Right, Katie?
Yep, exactly. The phrase I keep writing down in my journal every morning is like, how do I want to show up today? How do I want to show up today? Who am I choosing to be today? Because that's really what it comes down to. It's the choice of like all of us, there's kind of a collective experience that we're all having, but I, as an individual, get to decide how I show up to all of that today.
Exactly.
And so that ultimately, no matter what happens, like that's really the power of this stuff. No matter what happens, no matter what life throws at me, I'm going to be okay because I know this voice and I know that she's taken me to where I need to be next.
Absolutely. I love it. Katie, thank you so much for coming here and sharing this with us, and just tell everybody how they find you, how they reach you, how they listen to these guided meditations.
LuAnn, you are awesome. Thanks for having me on. You can go to it's womensmeditationnetwork.com. Or whatever podcast player you're listening to this on, you could just go and search for Women's Meditation Network. And there are just about 100 meditations that are there free for you to use whenever you need them. And one gets added every single week. So thank you so much for having me on, LuAnn. This has been such an awesome conversation.
Thank you, Katie. And I want to say a big, huge thank you to our sponsors, Kravit Inc. and My Doma Studio. I don't know if you realize it, but you know that you have the entire library of curated Kravit in your My Doma Studio platform. You do, so that if you are working on a project, you don't have to go in and out from website to website. You can just import right there from curated Kravit catalog right into your My Doma Studio there. So please, if you have not signed up for your free trial yet of My Doma Studio, please go to mydomastudio.com/a well-designed business. And please make sure that you give a big shout out in social, wherever and anytime you can, to the sponsors of the podcast, because they're the ones that help me bring this to you. So Katie said it a couple of times today that it starts with a decision, that you really do have to decide. And I 110% agree with that, because that I want you to every day decide to be excellent. Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at LuAnnNigara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.